All right, the Princeton Tigers take on Brown University. And that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time on Friday, February 18th, 2022. Princeton is -1 with the total at 144.5. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the video. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I started betting on sports when I was a kid, started gambling at 17 in Atlantic City, and I was a broadcasting graduate many moons ago. I also like long walks on the... No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I also sell my personal sports bets on Pt.2. And we have packages beginning at just $1.99. And the link for that package is in the description section below. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and handicap the entire slate on these videos. I'm not going to leave many games out. We're going to try to handicap as many games as possible. But if you want to see which one of these free picks that I give out on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. Now, when it comes to this Ivy League showdown here, it's actually Princeton who lost 2 out of their last 4 ball games, and they allowed 84 points a game on average in those losses. Now, the Tigers have also played really bad defensively away from home this year. They're actually giving up nearly 76 points a game on the road, and they're also having a tough time defending the field goal. Now, they're taking on a Brown team who's done a bang-up job on the defensive end of the court this year, despite their current record. I know that sounds crazy. Unfortunately, these guys haven't been able to get the W, but they've been really good on the defensive end of the court. The Bears allow only 62 points a game at the Pizza-Tola Center, and they currently find themselves on a 2-game winning streak. Now, scoring-wise, Keno Lilly is draining 40% of his shots from beyond the arc. The freshman's also scoring 13.5 points a game. Meanwhile, Tamanang Cho is averaging 14 points a game himself, along with 8 rebounds and a couple assists. Now, Brown's currently averaging 71 points per contest at any location. When it comes to the total in this one, Brown saw overs recently with Cornell, Columbia, and this very Princeton team. Meanwhile, the Tigers, on the other side of things, they saw 5 out of their last 9 get over the line themselves. Now, Princeton's officially 5-2 to the over in their last 7 on the road. I'm going to lean toward Brown University +1 and the over 144.5. All right, next ball game, we got it queued up there on the big screen behind me. It is going to be Richmond versus Virginia Commonwealth. That's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time. VCU's -2 at home with the total at 130.5. And although VCU's been pretty dominant on the defensive end of the court, they've actually been pretty bad this year getting to the hoop. The Rams are scoring only 63 points a game at the Siegel Center, and they're amongst the worst teams in the country in home offensive rebounding. They're taking on a Richmond team who allows only 68 points a game on the road. And they're also winning nearly 70% of their contests when they travel. Now, when it comes to offensive production in this one, Tyler Burton's making almost 40% of his three-pointers. He's also scoring 16 points a game. Meanwhile, Grant Golden's averaging 14 points per contest himself, along with 6.5 rebounds. Now, the Spiders are scoring 73 points a game when they travel. When it comes to the total in this one, 6 out of Richmond's last 9 road games fell under the number. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Now get out of my face.
Don't tell me that.
Meanwhile, VCU on the other side, they saw unders recently with St. Joe's, Davidson, and this very Richmond team. I'm going to lean toward Richmond +2 and the under 130.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Ryder versus Monmouth, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Monmouth's -8.5, totals 137. But despite being a pretty big favorite here, Monmouth has struggled covering the point spread here recently. They actually failed to cover in 4 out of their last 7, with failures coming against the likes of Marist, Fairfield, and Niagara. Now, the Hawks have also struggled a bit on the defensive end of the court. They're allowing 71 points a game at home. They're actually amongst the worst in the conference in defending the 3-ball on their home court. They're taking on a Ryder team on the other side of things who won 4 out of their last 5. And they also posted a record of 7-2 against the spread in their last 9. Now offensively, Demencio Vaughn is averaging 12 points a game along with 7 rebounds. Meanwhile, teammate Dwight Murray Jr., he's scoring 12.5 points per contest himself, along with 6 boards and 4 assists. Now when it comes to defensive play in this one, Wright allows only 69 points a game, and they're limiting their competition to just 41% shooting from the field. Now total-wise, the Bronx saw 4 out of their last 7 get over the posted number. They were also 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Monmouth. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, the Hawks on the other side of things, they saw overs recently with Marist, Niagara, and Iona. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Rider Bronx plus 8.5 and the over 137. Next matchup, it is going to be St. Pete's versus Fairfield, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. St. Pete's is -1 with a total at 124.5. And despite being the slight favorite on the road here, St. Pete's lost their last 2 straight, and they averaged only 58 points a game in their last 3. Now the Peacocks are winning only 40% of their road games, and they're averaging just 66 points a game at any location. They're taking on a Fairfield team who won 2 out of their last 3 ball games themselves, and they averaged over 73 points a game during that stretch. Taj Benning scoring over 11 points per contest, along with 4 rebounds and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Supreme Cook is averaging double-digit points a game himself, along with 8 rebounds. Now, when it comes to defensive play in this one, Fairfield is limiting their competition to just 31% shooting from the field. When it comes to the total in this one, the Stags saw unders recently with Quinnipiac, Siena, and Monmouth. They're also 9-1 to the under in their last 10 meetings with the Peacocks. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Meanwhile, St. Pete saw their last 3 straight fall under the posted total themselves. 67% to the under for the entire season at any location. I'm going to lean toward Fairfield +1 and the under 124.5. All right, next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Cleveland State versus UW Milwaukee. That's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Cleveland State's -6.5 with the number at 138. Now, Cleveland State got the W in 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they've done a real nice job getting to the basket. The Vikings are scoring 80 points a game when they travel. They also find themselves in the top 10 in the entire nation in road scoring. Trey Gomillion is making nearly 40% of his three-pointers, and he's also averaging just about double-digit points a game. Meanwhile, Demoy Hodge is getting over 16 points per contest himself, along with 3 rebounds. Now, they're taking on a Milwaukee team who allows over 70 points a game, and they have a losing record at home. These guys kind of struggling a bit on the defensive end of the court. Meanwhile, when it comes to covering the point spread, the Panthers failed to cover in 6 out of their last 8. Now, total-wise, Milwaukee saw overs recently with Youngstown State, Oakland, and this very Cleveland State team. Meanwhile, the Vikings are 7-1 to the over in their last 8. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland State -6.5 and the over 138. Next matchup, it is going to be Purdue-Fort Wayne versus Wisconsin-Green Bay. That's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time. PFW, they are -5.5 with the total at 130. And as good as the Mastodons have been at home, they've actually been a completely different ball club on the road. Now, Fort Wayne's lost 7 out of their last 9 road games, and they've been terrible defensively in those contests. The Mastodons are allowing 76 points a game away from home, and they're letting their opponents make nearly 49% of their field goals against them in that same category. They're taking on a Green Bay team who's been pretty bad here recently themselves, although they did cover the point spread recently against the likes of Robert Morris, Oakland, and Detroit. These guys have played some pretty tough defense at home, They allow just 66 points a game at the Crest Event Center, and they're amongst the better teams in the Horizon League in offensive rebounding. Now, scoring-wise, Donovan Ivory averages nearly a dozen a game, along with 4 rebounds. Meanwhile, teammate Emmanuel Ansong, he's scoring over 11 points a game himself, along with 5 boards. Now, Green Bay has also averaged 76 points per contest in their last 4 meetings with PFW. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Phoenix did go 6-3 to the under in their last 9 contests. Meanwhile, 5 out of Purdue-Fort Wayne's last 7 fell under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Wisconsin-Green Bay plus 5.5 and the under 130. Next matchup, it is going to be Maryland versus Nebraska, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Maryland Terrapins are -2 with the total at 145.5. But despite being favored in this one, Maryland's currently on a 5-game losing streak. And they may have to go to work without their leading scorer, Eric Ayala. Unfortunately, the guard is currently battling a wrist injury, and he's officially listed as questionable. Now, the Terps have also lost 5 out of their last 7 ball games away from home. And they're giving up 75 points per contest when they travel this year. Now, they're taking on a Nebraska team on the other side of things who covered the number in 5 out of their last 7. And they actually have a winning record against the point spread this year at home. Now, the Cornhuskers are averaging 73 points a game, and they're currently led by Bryce McGowans, who's scoring 16.5 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds. Meanwhile, Alonzo Verge is scoring over 13.5 points a game himself, along with 4.5 rebounds and 5 assists. Now, when it comes to head-to-head meetings between these two squads, Nebraska covered in 7 out of their last 10 games against Maryland. When it comes to the number in this one, Nebraska went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 ball games. They're also 60% to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, Maryland saw overs recently with Iowa, Ohio State, and Illinois. I'm going to lean toward Nebraska +2 and the over 145.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Wright State versus Oakland. And that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Oakland's -4.5, totals 148. The Golden Grizzlies of Oakland are on a 2-game winning streak, and they're currently undefeated on their home court still. As a matter of fact, Oakland's in the top 20 in the country in home scoring, and they're averaging over 85 points a game in that category. Jamal Cain scoring 20.5 points per contest, along with double-digit rebounds. Meanwhile, Jalen Moore is scoring 15 points a game himself, along with 4 boards and 8 assists. The Golden Grizzlies are also in the top 25 in the country in offensive field goal percentage at home. They're taking on a Wright State team who lost their last 2 straight, and they're also just, I don't know other way to put it, they're just giving up way too many points on the road. The Raiders are giving up 76 points a game when they travel, and in addition to that, they're also having a tough time defending the field goal in that very same category. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Wright State saw overs recently with Northern Kentucky, Wisconsin-Green Bay, and Illinois-Chicago. Meanwhile, Oakland, on the other side of things, they saw overs recently with Youngstown State, Northern Kentucky, and UIC themselves. I'm going to lean toward Oakland -4.5 and the over 148. With that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Pt.2. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single pick that I give out on that website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member package. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Thursday or Friday to you, depending on when you're watching this. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at Brockpage.com.